Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to the GCC, the Global Community Meeting. And I'm just going to share the screen of our slides, just to give a bit of structure. Second. Here we go. I think you can all see that. Welcome everyone, and thanks for coming, of course, especially during the summer when lots of people are on holiday. If you're watching this on YouTube, of course, you can talk to us anytime by looking at the program page or on Slack. And the link should be in the description. We have a few general announcements. So I think that the Epidemium has launched or is about to launch. Is that right, Paige?
Yeah, no, it's actually launching in September. The launch event is going to be on the 9th.
Okay.
But the program page will be up soon and visible to kind of get more information and start learning about it, because it's complex and amazing as well.
Yeah. We'll learn more about that later, I suppose, maybe potentially the next call. And then I've been working on the AMR, which is the antimicrobial resistance sort of space on JOGL, and we've decided when we're going to be teaching. For every week from the 14th of September up until late August, we'll be giving a seminar on Tuesdays on various parts of AMR. So you'll see that on the Slack and on the platform. And we're looking for teachers as well, although we have enough teachers and also students. So if you can think of anyone that might be interested in AMR, how to combat it, and also how to screen it, we're going to be doing some teaching sessions. And also, you might have seen that quite a lot of activity from iGEM. So yeah, that's a bit of news from JOGL. So let's hear about the projects. Would anyone like to speak first? This could be Adrian's project. On the Espresso, there might be a problem with viewing it, so I'm just going to.
I think Adrian will not be able to make it today.
Okay.
But well, I belong to the same group. So, well, for the Protopressure, I think this is not the right the right slide. We were trying to merge both the Protopressure and the bioreactor. We're still working on doing a little bit of some upgrade on the existing platform. Oh, Adrian, you're here. We're working a little bit on some upgrades for the bioreactor, probably attaching some other gadget. From my side, I've been working on trying to test some others protocols for using it with the bioreactor, for making it cheaper using different types of reagents that normally are very expensive in the lab, like for example IPTG, or using auto-inducible media. So we later on can write down some protocols that can be much more cheaper with material that actually you can access from any store. So yeah, so that's a little bit of the bioreactor that we know that we're a little bit behind with that, but yeah, we have been a little bit more devoted to work on the Protopressure. And here are some news for the Protopressure. We finally, we have the first prototype for the PCB board that has been completed, and it's already in production. We have to have some news from the PCB board that will be connecting all the motors that will be required for either the fraction collector and the pumps and the servos, etc. Also for the rest of the sensors that will be required, like the UV flow cell and the pressure sensor and many other things that a large chromatographic system will require. And we're also working on using a development board, not necessarily the one that we're going to apply as the final version, an object recognition software and an algorithm that can allow us for doing certain tasks like colony picking or for manipulating some tissues. So this is ongoing. This is in parallel. This is parallel development. At this moment, we're having a discussion. It's not clear which of the system we are finally deciding in considering using a new fraction collector design, either as a robotic arm, or probably using the same design, the classic design, the Z, Y, X axis that we presented the last time. We already have that one, but we're trying to more or less try to combine the existing system with the new board that we have just sent. In parallel, I'm contacting some former colleagues from my time in the Mac Blank. They developed a small software for visual recognition, and that could help us for the algorithm of the Protopressure to learn and detect new colonies and new objects during all the upgrade that we want to include into Protopressure. So this is what we have at this point.
The AI, the auto-inducible media sounds quite interesting. We used to make our own, but you can also buy some. Were you talking about making your own auto-inducible media with different amounts of lactose and glucose, or
right.
or do you buy it, that media?
Well, for example, it normally costs you like when you're using hypergene is prohibitively expensive for many people, and even including some academic labs. So we're testing different protocols like alternative like lactose or skim milk or any other reagent that we have more or less recognized that could be an alternative for making much more cheaper the production of the protein. That's for the case of those lactose-inducible systems. The one that we already have is a light-inducing system that was also taught in the beginning for avoiding the need of these chemical inducers. But sometimes, it's depending on the protein, you're required to use another type of plasmid, right? So not because maybe because you maybe not have another version, maybe because this is the only one you have, right? We're trying to design some protocol that the end user can choose between both our system, the light inducible system, or another system without actually spending more money on very expensive reagents that are not easily available for them. So yeah, this is the exploration on it.
Yeah, if I might add, like the blue light that we are using right now, we hope that that's going to be, I don't know, simple, it's fast. But for some of those, we think that IPTG protocol would be good. However, IPTG is expensive, and that's why we are looking at the lactose and the whey protocols as a replacement, a cheaper and more accessible replacement. Yeah.
I think it has higher yields sometimes as well with using the auto-inducible compared to IPTG in some cases. But can't wait to see your results. Okay, so the next project. Oh, this could be yours again, Adrian.
Sorry, I didn't put one. I apologize for that.
I was thinking if there weren't that many people to present a bit of the AMR Africa, but perhaps we can do that another time. I think Hunter has quite a lot to say, perhaps.
I always have a lot to say. Project's so complicated. I make it that way too. So I've been I applied to LACI, which is the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. We made it to the next the technical review phase of that. So hopefully I'll be hearing from them that after the technical review, if they select me, then I'll get to go in for in-person interviews, which will be very exciting. The last time I talked a bit about the pilot and looking for volunteers, I actually changed the, and I keep calling it a pilot. It's a lot of different things. It's a bit of a study and it's a bit of a pilot, but I changed it to include, I have this mask that I developed, and then I also have this mobile AR app I developed it last year, and it's been kind of sitting there. And in the back of my mind, I've been documenting things about ways that I want to improve it. And then I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that the CDC is interested in a mobile facial scanning application, specifically using the iPhone. So I ended up hiring a developer that is a 3D math expert that's interested in the project. So we're doing a set of 3 sprints, and we're in our first sprint this week to develop it to the point where I can start testing it in hospitals. So I have this on the left. My plan is to do an online survey with as many people as possible. And so I'm going to be asking them about their respirator usage, some of the problems that they have, whether or not they have any fitting issues, and probably collect some demographic information. Then the next phase will be a combination of interviews, but then also facial scanning. I want to talk to the people that are performing fit tests in hospitals. For those of you that don't know, hospitals, or really any institution that hires workers that needs to wear respirators, they must do fit testing every single year at a minimum. And then of course, if they're with the pandemic, that fit testing, which includes a hood, and there's this like spray, and you have to read a poem about rainbows, and it's very complicated and very labor intensive, and it takes, I think, at least 30 minutes per person. I'm hoping that this app will help shorten that time frame. So they're able to capture measurements and find the right respirator size. And ultimately, what could be cool is they could virtually try on a respirator, and we could use math to determine where the gaps are in it. That's a lot more complicated, but at a bare minimum, I'm very confident that we'll be able to determine the respirator size based on the 10 measurements that NIOSH recommends. So that's what that portion of the study or pilot would be. And then the final portion would be actually device testing. And that's going to be doing the A/B testing of what is the respirator that they're currently wearing and the size, and compare that to this new device. And does the new device alleviate the problems that the old device causes? So that's my plan. So as far as next steps, we're gonna, I have this developer until August 18th. So we're gonna try to get this app done by then. Might be a few things that I'll need to tie up. So I'm working towards that. And then I'd like to release the survey questions in the next week or two and start sending that out to the hospitals that are already interested. I'll put it out on social media. I'm probably gonna put it on TikTok. That seems to be, that's kind of, I've been on TikTok, like gathering, liking a lot of like healthcare worker accounts. So I've like built up this sort of database, and I'm gonna put that out on there. But any social media channel I can find, and just try to get as many respondents as possible. And then I'll narrow that down. So that.
Your projects become many projects now, really.
I know. I probably
cool.
need to separate the app into its own separate project, because I think, especially in looking for volunteers or anyone that wants to assist with the project, that I might attract a different group. And I'm not in the proposal yet, the proposal stage yet with the CDC, but once that comes out, I'm definitely going to propose the project that I'm working on. But it would be amazing to get that tested in a live, like with people prior to doing that. Because the technology is there with the iPhone. Their facial recognition is amazing. You can get down to at least 0.5 millimeter of tolerance. So the resolution's really good. Whether or not it's good enough for CDC and NIOSH, I don't know, but that would be good to find out. I think at the very least, it could help a lot of hospitals just to have this device and help them with their inventory management and what sizes they need to buy and whatnot.
Do you think after August 18th, you'll need volunteer developers potentially as well to help out?
Yeah, I think if I can get someone to fund the entire application, I would need at least one other developer probably to do the UI. I'm doing that right now, but my time is limited. And I am not a Swift expert by any means. I'm kind of learning as I go along. But later on, I'm going to be saving face scans. I'm going to need to set up, databases, make sure all of that information is very, very secure. Because, and that's another question that I have too, is there's some legality involved and just, protections. I don't know if HIPAA applies to this, but in capturing someone's three-dimensional face, that's very private data. So I want to be very, I want to keep that data in a secure location, and also just make sure that I'm not running into any legal issues with capturing this. And then potentially, I wouldn't share the point clouds or share any of the data, but I'm going to be sharing some of the measurements that I gather from that. So that's a difficult thing to figure out.
Thank you for, does anyone have any questions at all? Okay, thank you, Hunter. Let's see if there's another project to present. I think we've already heard about the bioreactor already. Would anyone else like to mention their project or anything interesting to share?
No, I just had a question. Yeah, for the troubleshooting session.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, this is like really, it's been a minute since the grant winners thing came out. And so we didn't really have a use for the money until now. And so we were, not trying to take it or anything until we really needed it. And so now when I was filling out the form about 2 weeks ago, we came across the agreement thing and we weren't really sure how to navigate it or what the legality was of everything. So I was kind of confused by first the use of fund agreement and the open source agreement. So it says that and you can have a permissive license. I'm not like, could you explain what that is?
I didn't actually create the form, so if you you could email me and I'll forward it to Thomas, who worked with an expert for it. But what sort of concerns do you have?
So the main reason we were concerned is because we were trying to use it in a commercial sense. Like we spent a while on it, and so we were ultimately going to try to use it in a commercial sense, considering how much time we put into it. That doesn't mean that we weren't going to try to, open source our methods and things like that. But generally, a lot of that is out there. And the most valuable part of our product is our data sets that we've collected and the neural network we trained. Generally, if you're a competent, skilled machine learning engineer, you can figure out how to do the entire thing. It took us time, and that was what was valuable. So us releasing the methods isn't going to mean a lot, but if we have to release the data sets that we used and then open source the neural network, that was what we were concerned about. So that's what we wanted to check on if we had to release that.
So with past experience and other teams and everything that's gone on so far, I would say it's more a request to be as open as you physically can be without detrimenting yourselves. And other teams have gone on to create works which are then sold or create companies with in the end. So I think if what you're saying is true, and if to progress your project and to help people, you want to create something which is private, then I would release your methods, and if possible in neural networks, etc. But it isn't a requirement, and I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay,
I'm,
cool.
I'm kind of in the same situation, and that was the answer
Yeah.
that I was given as well. I mean, there's some information I'm going to put out there, whatever is going to be helpful to the community, but like for the respirator, I'm trying to get a patent on it, which I have to in order to get funding to further the project.
Yeah.
But I'm keeping as much of it as open as I can, and more or less just documenting the journey of getting to this point, which I think is interesting for people too.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like we're totally open to releasing the methods because the methods really aren't that unique or anything like that. A lot of people have done it. The reason we have such a high accuracy is because of the way we like collected data and how much data we collected. And so that was the thing we didn't want to release, but we can totally release like a step-by-step process for how you can do it too. It's just that was the thing we were concerned about. The other thing we were concerned about is the use of fund agreement. What if we don't use all of the funds? Like we'll definitely use a part of it, but we're not sure if we're going to use all of it.
You can send it back if you can't think
Okay,
of a
okay.
good reason.
That's just what I wanted to, yeah, because yeah. And if we make a pivot into something health related, like we were thinking about after COVID going into like hospitals, a lot of wheelchairs are stolen in hospitals, like 25 to 50% per year. So we were thinking about creating a solution that using the same technology that we have right now that will alert hospital security when it reaches a barrier using Bluetooth technology. So if we go into a field that's similar, but with the same technology, does that still constitute a similar product?
In terms of the agreement?
Yeah,
Or-
in terms of the agreement, because this is like a legal agreement, right? Like this isn't just
yeah.
like boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's hard to say. So as I
Right.
sort of said before, like alluded to before, at this stage, I wouldn't worry about it, especially if you're already releasing your data to the public.
Okay.
If it's a different project, it's a different project. You could be a different group of people. I wouldn't worry about it too much in terms of the agreement.
Okay, cool.
It's more seed funding to let you accomplish these projects, and if you can release something that's open like a document and you tell us what's happened in the end, that would be great. And part of this process, and one of the main reasons why we say everything's open, is because the entire grant process is open. So you've told everyone about what you've been doing, you told everyone about the methods, you've been updating us with your progress, like now, for instance.
Yeah.
And JOGL isn't some massive, incredibly rich multinational which is going to go after you if you've done something wrong. I wouldn't worry about it. So
yeah.
maybe in a few years it'll be different. But.
And just one last question. So am I liable if anything like happens, or is because we haven't filed for anything. We don't have an LLC. So that would make me liable if the contract is violated, right? Like I don't know a lot about permissive licenses, so I don't think I would violate it, but
again, I don't think that JOGL would ever be in the position where we'd be asking you to cease and desist something or to make something public, especially the size of the grants currently. I think one of the reasons why this license was made was to set an example for future grant rounds with larger amounts of money, and things like that. So it's at this current stage, I wouldn't worry about it.
But those are fair questions, and I think if you're really worried about them, just ping them in an email to us and to mine. Maybe our lawyer can help.
Yeah, I would love to just, I don't want to sign any legal agreement that I don't know, what I'm signing. So I mean, I tried to read up on permissive licenses, but it was kind of vague reading. So I try to talk to someone I know that knows more about them. Yeah, thanks.
It'd be good if anything to get reassurance from us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure like there's nothing that would happen, but I just don't want to have something like to sign something and then not know what it is. So I'll double check before I do that. But I know you sent an email before about us not filling out the form. So I just wanted to tell you, like, that was the reason why we just wanted to check on that. So I appreciate you at least semi understanding. I'm sorry.
In the end, we just want teams to get the money,
yeah,
to do their thing. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Please email us. Yeah. That could be it from any from that argument. Has anyone else got any questions for troubleshooting at all, or would like to introduce themselves if they're new, for example? Okay, that could be it. It was quite a short GCC, but there was lots of interesting things to talk about. And if you've got anything else to say, please message me or comment in the announcements. And see you soon. Bye, guys.
See everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, do we need to do the photo? We didn't do the photo.
We can do the photo. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's get the screenshot. Oh. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh, again. It might be that someone else has managed to do it before I have.
Yeah, I got one, Chris. So.
Brilliant, thank you. Right, see you guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Always awful with that.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for the updates.
Thank you.